Hi everyone, this is Long Vo. Today is September the 14th, 2012, and I'm analyzing one of my games against my brother, Bao. He's playing white and he starts off with d4. I play knight to f6 and he goes c4 and I go e6. Now he goes knight to c3 and I pin the knight with bishop to b4. He goes a3 and bishop takes c3 and b takes c3. So I've sacrificed I exchanged my bishop to mess up his pawns, and so my next move is b6. So at this point I don't think it made sense for this move. I should have perhaps developed the knight first, and then move the knight over here to perhaps put pressure on this pawn or something like that, versus moving that pawn. And also I went this move, I suppose, to prevent him from advancing further to gain more space. So he goes bishop to g5, pinning my knight to the queen, and I go h6, and bishop takes f6, and queen takes f6. So because my queen was able to take back, I didn't mess up my pawns. And so I'm not sure if that was a good move from his part, giving up the bishop pair like that. I gave up my bishop pair for the double pawns. He just gave up his bishop pair, I guess, to get rid of the knight. I guess his idea was to attack on the king side. Once the knight is gone, the king side is more vulnerable. So which move did he go? So he went e4, gaining more space, and opening the diagonal to protect this c pawn here. And so I push for c5, attacking the center. And he develops with knight to f3, and I go bishop to b7, putting pressure on the center pawn, the e pawn. He defends with bishop to d3, and I castle short. He castles short, and knight to c6, and he advances with d5, kicking away my knight. So knight goes to e7, with the idea of perhaps relocating later on. So queen to d2, completing his development. And so I go e5, with the idea of creating an outpost for the knight. I'm keeping the center closed for the moment. I'm not sure what's my idea. I probably should have started to open it up, because that light squared bishop is now sort of stuck there, so I don't think that was a good move from my part. And he goes h3. So same thing, I'm not sure if there was a purpose, or I don't know, there's no real prophylactic purpose for that pawn to go there. Maybe he wasn't sure what to do. So now I go d6. Perhaps instead of doing h3, he could have, not advancing here doesn't make sense. Yeah, I guess. So after d6, he goes, he retreats the knight to h2, probably relocating it somewhere here. and I go knight to g6, looking for that outpost, and he retreats the bishop to e2. So I'm not sure why. I don't really see his threats at this moment. Yeah, I'm not sure why. So now I take my outpost with knight to f4, attacking the light squared bishop, and he goes bishop to f3, and queen to g5, just simply improving the position of the queen, putting a bit of pressure on the g pawn. Actually, I'm threatening to take here on h3, because the g pawn is pinned, so that's my threat, and then I would win the queen. So this discovered here on the queen with a check. So he saw that and he went king to h1, and yeah, perhaps now I could have taken anyways, right? The queen's hanging. If he takes, I take back and I'm up a pawn. So I didn't see that tactic. It would have made perfect sense. So anyways, I went bishop to a6, and simply attacking that isolated pawn there. And so I guess he saw that, right? So so he gains the tempo on my queen with h4, and queen retreats to e7. So even though I didn't capture that pawn, I felt okay because I've induced a couple of weaknesses around his king. And he goes g3, and knight retreats to g6. So now the bishop goes to e2 to defend the c4 pawn, and bishop retreats to c8 with the idea of penetrating the light squares, the weakness that was created here. So he blocks with knight to g4, and I think this is where I make my first real mistake with h5. So I didn't need to drive that knight away. It wasn't really threatening anything, but I wanted to penetrate the position here. So so I kicked out the knight, but the problem now becomes this pawn has weakened itself. There's no way for other pawns to protect. The knight is kind of cramped inside here, can't really go anywhere. The king is not as safe anymore, opening up the dark squares here. So knight retreats to e3, and so now he does have this nice little outpost here. The bishop is still there, but I'm sure he's going to find a way there. So queen to d7, threatening check here. Yeah, I don't know, maybe I should have developed the bishop right away. That could have made sense. But now this pawn here is hanging, which I didn't even see. But because the queen went to d7, it is a big enough threat. So he takes his outpost with knight to f5. So see, the queen going here sort of blocked off the bishop, so it's not such a good move, I think. And so bishop goes to a6, and queen to g5. So he's improving the position of his queen, and he's keeping his bishop here. to defend the c-pawn, and he's threatening with the queen instead of simply taking here, and I would take back, right? So now I felt a bit of pressure here. So once he takes, right, the king needs a way out. So I went rook to e8, and now he takes with the bishop. So bishop takes h5. So I guess he decided to keep his queen there to x-ray the king, and this knight here is well placed to exert pressure here. I shouldn't have let the knight in like that. Now the queen, there's no way for her to kick him out. So anyways, instead of defending the position, I decided to create some counterplay on the queen side, with bishop to c4 threatening the rook, and he goes bishop to g4, x-raying my queen with a possible discovered attack. So I went queen to a4, and so now he chases my knight with h5. So I don't know here, the knight can't move. If I move the knight, it's checkmate, right? So pretty much that knight is doomed, and I decide to go bishop takes f1, rook takes f1, queen takes e4 check, and he goes king to g1. Now what I didn't see was that he could fork the queen and the rook here, so I didn't see that, and so I don't know who's winning at this point. He's probably more aggressive here. I didn't pay attention to all the threats. I should have, so I went king to g7. So I think that's a bad move. At this point, you should probably look for a way to escape. Well, I wanted to get out of that x-ray, and I wanted to give a little support here, so once he takes and I take, I'm still supporting that pawn, right? So that was my idea. So he did take, h takes g6, f takes h, no, f takes g, threatening the knight, and knight takes d6, forking the queen, and queen takes d5, knight takes e8, rook takes e8. I'm down a piece. I have more pawns though, so I'm up 2 pawns and down a piece, so it's not the end of the world. My king is in a really bad position. So rook goes to d1, kicking away my queen. So this is where I start to make mistakes. So I go queen to b3. I think, well, attacking his pawns there, but I think I have to realize the danger my king is in, and perhaps this would have made better sense. And well, yeah, sort of blocking the king in. Maybe what would have made more sense? Yeah, I'm not really sure. Maybe even here supporting the g pawn here. Okay, so perhaps later on looking for a way to move up and then get the queen into the defense. So I think that could have been a stronger move than what I played. And he goes king to g2. So I thought he was simply centralizing his king, but he was opening the first rank here for the rook to deliver check, and then I'd be in pretty big trouble. So I didn't even see that, so I was This is probably my losing move. Queen takes c3, and the problem is now the queen is simply disconnected from any chance of going back for defense. And rook to h1 check, king to g8, queen takes g6. Perhaps threatening rook to h7, putting some serious threats there. And even now the queen is threatening the rook. So rook to e7, bishop to e6 check. So what should I do at this point? If I run the king, it's checkmate. And so I had no choice. Rook takes e6, queen takes e6 check, king to f8, rook to h8 checkmate. So yeah, it's a really bad game. I think I should have paid a little bit more attention. I think the turning point was when I made the h5 pawn move. So that was well, first of all, I missed that tactic there with the knight. So I could have simply taken, but my biggest problem was this move right here. So I think that was the turning point where things started to go really bad. So it's important not to weaken your pawns, the structure of your pawn. So that's what I took away from this game.